Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel.
We need to consider the full context of Isaiah 7:14. When we read the entire chapter, we see that the people of Judah were being attacked by the Arameans from the north. These attackers were going to destroy Jerusalem, and remove the king from the house of David. The phrase house of David is used twice in Isaiah 7 verse 2 and 13. By repeating this phrase, they were taunting God's messianic line, because the Messiah was to come from the line of David. The phrase house of David is used only 3 more times in the rest of the major prophets. This rare use of the expression was a direct assault on God's future Messiah. Ahaz was the faithless king on the throne of David. Isaiah urged Ahaz to stand firm in his faith against these attacks, but Ahaz was a coward. God offered to give him a sign to bolster his faith, but Ahaz refused. God rebuked this lack of faith, but he did not rebuke Ahaz directly. Instead, he rebuked the entire house of David. In the next verse, verse 14, the Hebrew is plural, which means that God is addressing the entire house and kingly line. God had asked Ahaz to request a sign that was as deep as Sheol or as high as heaven. Therefore, we should expect a supernatural and powerful sign, not something simplistic. However, a supernatural and powerful sign never occurred. In fact, commentators argue over what the sign actually was. 1. Some say that God predicted that the child would be a boy. A 50-50 chance. 2. Some say that the mother would prophetically call him Emmanuel, which would not be a sign, if she knew of this prophecy. 3. Some say that the sign is that God will defeat Judah's enemies, before the boy grows up. 4. Some say that the sign is that Judah will be defeated by God's enemies, before the boy grows up. Conservative scholars believe that Maher-shalal-hash-baz was a partial fulfillment of this prophecy, but he was not a complete fulfillment for a number of reasons. First, he was never called Emmanuel. Second, his birth was not miraculous, as this prophecy predicted in verse 11. Third, Isaiah's original prophecy was in the plural, referring to the entire house of David, not just the immediate heir. Since Maher-shalal-hash-baz only partially fulfilled this promise, this left the prophecy open for a future and ultimate person, namely Jesus.